Guten Morgen, everybody. My name is Bear with BearIndependent.com, and I don't know why I'm singing, except because it's Friday. Insert heavy metal music here. Alright, dropping the link for the patrons on Patreon.com. And there we go. Fear for Breakfast is the name of today's stream. 33 people here already. Good morning. Sean Williams, you've been waiting for me. Sorry, man. I told my wife last night when I was laying in bed, I said, I got to set an alarm on my phone because I got to do the brief in the morning. And then I told my toddler, who was taking up most of the king-size bed, I said, you know what? No, I don't. Dad will do the brief when Dad feels like doing the brief. So, Sean, bless you, bro. But Dad's doing the brief when Dad feels like doing the brief. So, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Dudley and all the blue wrenches. Snapping Turtle listening as always. It's Creepy Snapping Turtle. You got to watch those turtles. They always have their eyes and ears on. Let's jump over here to OBS and do the screen share thing. There we go. Segment 1 today. Food prices are going up. Segment 2. Violent crime is up 30% nationally. And segment 3. It's the economy, stupid. So, as always, you can reach us at BearIndependent.com. BearIndependent. BearIndependent.com. Not BARE. That's a different kind of website, one that I did not endorse. BearIndependent.com. Click the contact button. I said contact. There we go. And you'll see here the monkeys of the dance. Post-nasal drip is hardcore today, man. Yay, snow and winter and stuff. All right, so right here, this is how you send your intel in. And the intel and the silver linings is how we put these shows together every day. So if you want to participate in the show, intel at bearindependent.com or bearindependent.com/contact. And go. Segment 1, food prices are going up. The supply chain may soon experience even more trouble. According to reports from food producers like Conagra and Kraft, some very, very trustworthy organizations, by the way. Oh, sorry, editorializing. It appears that food producers may soon be passing on rising costs to consumers. The transport of goods may be affected as well from a potential parts shortage for keeping those trucks up and running. Quote, I work in the warehousing and shipping of replacement parts for Peterbilt's and Kenworths, which is probably a pretty cool job. I like the Pete 379 long hood and the Kenworth T800s and 900s. They're pretty cool, man. They'll never be a Western Star, though. You will never be a Western Star. One more time. You will never be a Western Star. But it's okay. Still pretty good trucks. I work in the warehousing and shipping of replacement parts for Peterbilt's and Kenworths all over this country. Manufacturers cannot keep up with the demands for all replacement parts. These vehicles must be able to pass DOT, Department of Transportation, inspections on the highway to keep rolling and hauling everything that we need. So, another potential issue with the food supply chain. Even without high prices, struggling transport, and the recent storm impacting an already struggling supply of grains, more stores are being forced to shut down, further impacting infrastructure. Wherever laws are enacted to demand hazard pay for workers, yes, this is a real thing, hazard pay for workers. Typically, we would call this redistribution of wealth, but hazard pay for workers. Stores buckle under the pressure. Oh, no, I'm not talking about like people in confined spaces, people doing aerial rescue, people flying around on helicopters, people wearing bulletproof vests for a job. I'm talking about people that ask you paper or plastic, sir. And I'm not degrading those people at all. But that ain't hazard pay. Hazard implies that there's a real threat to your life, and COVID-19 is not a real threat to your life. Oh, damn, there I go editorializing again. Wherever laws are enacted to demand hazard pay for workers, stores buckle under the pressure, unable to make ends meet with their already razor-thin margins. For example, Seattle's laws requiring hazard pay is forcing the hand of Kroger, which is now closing 2 stores in the city. This follows a similar event in Long Beach, California, where a similar law was just put into place requiring $4 an hour extra for a 120-day period. This legislation, intended to support workers, is eliminating some jobs completely. Ha ha! Post-nasal drip. You're welcome, Internet. We got people here. There's people here. 444 people. Hey, throw us a thumbs up if you would. That helps us in the algorithm. Share this out to people that you think need to see it. And also, buy some ketchup. Yes, buy some ketchup. From Reuters, which is spelled Reuters, but from Reuters, Chicago, Kraft Heinz Company and Conagra Brands Incorporated say they may choose, I'm going to guess they will choose, but they may choose to raise prices this year on some products that use wheat, sugar, and other commodities, aka everything, that are becoming increasingly expensive due to high demand. You think? Pause. Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, children of all ages, I have been telling you as long as I've had an internet presence to stack food to the rafters. If you thought I was kidding over the last 3 years, I'm not. Stack food to the rafters. I've included in today's broadcast in the links a link to our playlist on food storage here on YouTube. It's free. It's free. If you're wondering how do I put food in buckets or what kind of food do I get or what blah, 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 it's there. It's free. Do it. Because like so many people right now that are scrambling, emailing us every day, every week, Bear, how do I get to where you are in the wilderness? I need to get out of the city. I've been telling you for 3 years to get out of the city. Because a year ago, or a little more, land in my area had an average time on market of 400 days. Now land in my area has an average time on market of 2 days. So rather than being reactive yet again, oh man, shit has really hit the fan, I guess I need to do the things now. No, that's what you do, the things beforehand. So, Kraft Heinz and Conagra are saying that they may choose to raise prices this year on some products that use wheat, sugar, and other commodities, aka everything. Now, we're going to get further into this report, but food prices are going to go up. Also, the value of the dollar is going to go down. I'm going to show you 3 things today. The title of this brief is Fear for Breakfast, but really what we're looking at, if you look at segment 1, food prices are going up. That's food shortage. If you look at segment 2, violent crime is up 30% nationally. That's civil unrest. And if you look at segment 3, it's the economy's stupid. That's economic crises. These are the 3 prime indicators that I've been tracking for 15 years that I've been into prepping, that I've been able to learn to read the writing on the wall. And so if you're new to preparedness or you're new here, welcome, but don't sit on your laurels. You have to go do this because I think the window of opportunity to do this is shrinking. Unless you have an exorbitant amount of money, and then even then you're going to be throwing a lot of good money away because you didn't act sooner. So, back to Reuters. Kraft Heinz Company and Conagra Brands said that many choose to raise prices this year on some products that use wheat, sugar, and other commodities that are becoming increasingly expensive due to high demand. Conagra CEO Sean Connolly said the company, which makes Duncan Hines cake mixes and Marie Callender's pulled pork mac and cheese bowls, will need to implement inflation-justified price increases this year so that it can continue to fuel sales growth through innovation. In other words, they're going to run out of money, so we got to up the prices. Ingredient and packaging costs represent 60 to 65% of Conagra's total cost basket. With people on lockdown cooking more at home and still stockpiling in some parts of the world, yeah, this part of the world, sweetheart, prices for commodities like sugar, wheat, and soy are surging, forcing food companies to absorb higher costs. U.S. consumers on average paid 3.7% more for food consumed at home in January than they did a year earlier. So 4% up doesn't seem like a big deal. That will grow. That's the beginning of the bell curve. We're here. Not here yet. Additionally, think about the devaluation of the U.S. dollar. So when you couple in inflation, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the brief, when you couple in inflation, now all of a sudden with an increased cost and a reduced purchasing power, you're paying significantly more. And we're at the beginning of the bell curve. Not the end of it, the beginning. We don't want to be the Weimar Republic where a wheelbarrow full of fiat currency cannot buy you a loaf of bread. We also have to think about, honestly, accessibility. Because, early stage COVID, it didn't matter if you were willing to pay $1,000 for a roll of toilet paper, there were none to buy. So at some point, regardless of whether or not you have the money to pay exorbitant prices for everyday things, if you don't have the access to those everyday things, if you can't get them, it doesn't matter. So, not only is cost going up, access is becoming restricted because resources are tightening. So, we'll go on to the next article here from AgFax.com. Wheat historic freeze, severe dryness challenge winter crops. I think if this winter dryness, it seems like if you just get some of that O'Keeffe's working hands and just rub it all over these wheat fields, it should be fine. No cracks, no blemishes, good to go. Nice moisturizing, micronutrients for the skin and the soil. Winter wheat farmers in several states have not had an easy winter. All eyes are on Kansas, Nebraska, and Colorado as a perfect storm of historically low temperatures combined with severe dryness. Severe dryness. I'm telling you, some of that work in the hands, man. Threatens new crop yield potential in the heart of the country's breadbasket. Perfect. Do you know why Russia is in the Ukraine? It's not because, that's part of the motherland. No. It's because they produce food. Yeah. War is a game of resources. At its most basic level, remember that. It's the allocation of certain resources against the acquisition of or protection of other resources. And so you're going to see more and more and more tension around areas that produce food and attention around areas that produce food because the overall resource is shrinking. That's part of why I surmise the big they needs the heavy-handed tyrannical governments that are being instituted all around the world and trying to be instituted here in the United States because they need, in their mind, they need as much control as possible to administer the limited resources. It's also why you see, like we've been talking about, banks that are now saying that your credit score isn't good enough. What's your social credit score? Because as resources tighten, they have to be more choosy with who gets what. Okay, so you better be a model citizen if you're going to depend on the system, and if you're not a model citizen, you better be building an alternative to the system. Does that make sense? If you're going to play in the system, you better be a model citizen. And if you're not a model citizen, and the definition of that can change at any moment depending on which way the political winds are blowing, if you're not a model citizen, you better be building your own independent system so that you don't need the big they to wipe your ass and whip out a titty for you to suckle on. Producers in the Great Plains have seen sustained temperatures below 10 degrees Fahrenheit, low enough to cause serious concern about the crop's ability to survive dormancy. Typically, snow cover and adequate soil moisture would help insulate the dormant crop, but this year has been anything but typical as severe to exceptional drought conditions persist from western Kansas into western Nebraska and eastern Colorado. Unlike lighter freeze damage, from which the wheat can bounce back under the right conditions, this year's freeze event has the potential for winter kill in some regions and ultimately challenge the production volume. And so it goes on from here. Kansas, Nebraska, Texas Panhandle, Colorado. They're quite concerned about the ability for wheat to actually be produced this year. Estimated up to 25% of the winter wheat crop has been affected thus far. We'll see what happens from there. Over here at the Gateway Pundit, Kroger to close 2 more stores after Seattle City Council mandates hazard pay for grocery workers. Supermarket retailer Kroger announced it will close 2 of its QFC grocery stores in Seattle because of the City Council's new hazard pay law requiring an extra $4 per hour for workers. Now, I can understand the sentiment here. I get it. If these people were making $7.25 an hour, I understand. I get it. They're not, though. The mandate, dubbed hazard pay, was designed to compensate grocery store workers for working in dangerous conditions due to the COVID pandemic. But it backfired. It also requires, as stated, that you are working in dangerous conditions. The vaccine is more dangerous than the damn disease, statistically speaking. And I can say that, Todd, at YouTube, because I have right here the fact sheet for recipients and caregivers for Pfizer-BioNTech, the fact sheet right here for the Moderna COVID-19 vaccine right here. What else do I have? Oh, look. America's Frontline Doctors White Paper on the Experimental Vaccines for COVID-19. No, I'm not just talking out of my ass. This is stuff that's all sitting on my desk right now that I've been studying and been bringing to the table, literally and figuratively, for the last several months. So there's no actual danger here. I'm gonna sneeze. COVID! All right. Good times. The mandate, dubbed hazard pay, was designed to compensate grocery store workers for working in dangerous conditions, air quotes, dangerous conditions, due to the COVID pandemic, but it backfired. And of course, up here we have 2 real, competent, proud American citizens, politicians right here. GTF my screen, bro. QFC said its Seattle employees already make an average of $20 per hour, not including health care and retirement benefits. Yeah, I know. Cost of living and this and that and the third. I know men and women who have busted their asses their whole life, metaphorically turning big rocks into little rocks with sledgehammers for half of that with no benefits. And they'll do it with a quiet smile on their face because they're tough as hell and they're just trying to feed their kids. Yeah. The 2 grocery stores located on 15th Avenue and 35th Avenue in the Wedgwood neighborhood will close in 60 days. Blah, blah, blah. When you factor in the increased cost of the blah, blah with the COVID-19 and some more blah, blah. COVID, blah, blah, blah. An extra $4 per hour. California, City of Long Beach, blah, blah, blah. City Council, blah, blah, blah. Blah, blah, blah. This is just a taste of what is to come with Joe Biden's, I like that, blah, blah, Biden's federal minimum wage increase to $15 per hour. Great story. Here's this right here, this guy, some jerk on the internet. You might recognize him. This is Food Storage and Buckets How To, and this is the link, one of the links that I've included down below in the description here on YouTube and for the patrons on Patreon. You can see we got buckets, we got pinto beans, there's rice back here, there's corn, there's wheat, all of it. We got all of it, baby. And so me and Yankee from Freedom's Memory are walking you through how to put food in buckets. So if you're not really sure how to do that, you could check it out there. Link is in the description. Refuge, medical.com. Somebody said, hey, when am I going to get some training dates in Nebraska or Kansas? I don't know. I have no idea at this point. If you have some people in Nebraska or Kansas you want to train with, go ahead and shoot us an email. You can click this contact us button right here. And if you can put a class together, we'll put a class together. Now, however, in the meanwhile, in the Nashville area, we've got a Stop the Bleed class. In the Cartersville, Georgia area, we've got a Stop the Bleed class. And these are phenomenal 4-hour classes, including a minimum of 2 hours of hands-on instruction taught by legitimate badasses in the field, people that have been there, done that, and have all the T-shirts. You keep the training materials. This is a 4-hour class. Students will be responsible for their own meals and drinks. The cost of the class includes a North American Rescue TCCC trainer kit, which will be retained by the student. This allows the student to train their friends and loved ones with the same tactics and techniques after the class is completed, aka force multiplication, and you don't have to tear apart your perfectly good AgFax to come to our training event. So, Bear Independent Collection, AgFax, fabulous. I don't want the minimum. Who wants a minimum? Jeez. Bear Fact. Let's talk about a Bear Fact. So this is the Bear Fact right here. Bear First Aid Kit. It's about this big. It's made out of super badass ballistic nylon that would literally stop a speeding train. If you just held this up like this in front of a train, the train would be destroyed and you would be fine. That might be a tad bit of hyperbole. It is handmade, hand-sewn, made in America, guaranteed forever. If you break this, I will replace it at no cost to you. If you use the contents of this kit to save a life, I will replace them at no cost to you. 13 lives saved in the last year with this kit on 4 continents with 4 branches of the armed forces. You pop this thing open like so, and then right here, you pull the red tab, and this stays on your plate carrier, your chest rig, your rucksack, your war belt, your headrest, the bulkhead of your submarine, whatever. Now you're holding in your hand a purpose-built, organized blowout kit. Watch this. You pull this little tab. Shazam. Watcha. You got your surgical tape. You got your pressure dressing. You got a mini roll of duct tape because it sticks to everything, including blood, sweat, and tears. You've got a decompression needle. You got a Sharpie so you can draw a mustache on the casualty so they feel better about themselves. You've got a Gen 7 cat tourniquet. You've got nitro gloves right here because if it's wet and not yours, don't touch it. You've got in the back right here, you've got your North American Rescue 7 1/4 inch legit EMT trauma shears. You have your nasal, pharyngeal, airway, 2 5x9 gauze pads, and you've got your high-fin chest seals, 2 of them full size right here. And then down in L bottom O, this pouch right here has all the things pictured on the screen. You can see you got your quick clot here. You got, so down in the bottom, you got your quick clot. You got your survival blanket. You got your compressed gauze for wound packing. You got a roll of Curlix. You've got a triangle bandage. You've got BZK wipes. You've got small gauze, 2x2s, 4x4s, 5x9s, all right here, as well as a piece of fold flat duct tape. Because why? Because more tape. So this kit exceeds military specification, which is why so many members of the military are purchasing these things for themselves or for their units or for their buddies. We got a lot of parents actually that are buying these for their grown children that are in the military because it's a far better kit than what they're issued. And it allows the owner of the kit to work the entirety of the March algorithm, MARCH-E, which is massive bleeding using the tourniquet and the pressure dressing and wound packing. Airway, which is using the airway. Respiratory, which is using the chest seals. Circulation, which is going to be keep all the blood inside the body and keep the body warm, which is going to be the ability to actually stop the bleed. And your survival blanket, which you think is a throwaway. You're like, oh, that's cute. You put a $2 survival blanket in there. No, actually, it's not cute at all. It saves people's lives because a 1 degree drop in body temperature doubles the time that it takes to form a clot. And so if you have massive bleeding and you're trying to keep as much blood as possible inside of the body, you want to have the body remain warm so that the body forms clots quickly so all that blood doesn't evacuate the body and then those people die. And so it's not just a throwaway. It's much easier to keep somebody warm than it is to warm them up again. Plus, you're also mitigating the effects of shock. And so we go into the H of the March algorithm, which is head injuries and hypothermia, back to the survival blanket. And then for head injuries, you see things like, excuse me, the tape, the small gauze, the Kerlix, etc. Because about the best we can hope in a battlefield environment is to cover the wound, keep everything nice and tight and compact, but not so constricted that we're restricting blood flow until we elevate to a higher level of care. Then, of course, the E in the March algorithm stands for, and it's, I know, a great algorithm, everything else, which means do a second check, work the casualty again, make sure that now that we've stopped the arterial bleed with the tourniquet, is there a gash across their hand that we can address with something else, right? Some other methodology, our Kerlix, our rolled gauze, our pressure bandage, or whatever, okay? So this kit, handmade, made in America, guaranteed forever. About a 2-week lead time right now. All colors are in stock, guaranteed forever. If you use it to save a life, I will replace the contents at no charge to you. If you break this, I want to know about it because A, we want to make the next ones better, and B, I don't want you to have a busted ass kit, so I will replace it at no cost to you. You can use promo code BEARNATION at refugemedical.com. That'll get you 10% off. Please use the promo code. It's one of the ways we know if y'all are paying attention out there in the ether when I'm doing these things every day. So promo code BEARNATION will get you 10% off everything in the store at refugemedical.com other than training. Everything. So if you want a stomp bag, 10% off of that. You want a mass casualty kit, which will treat up to 16 casualties, 10% off of that. If you wanted a combat lifesaver kit, adventure kit, y'all get the point. A crash kit that was literally designed for Baja racers out in the middle of nowhere, 10% off of that. Promo code BEARNATION. Bless y'all. Love y'all. Moving right along. The national report finds startling rise in violent crime during the pandemic. No S, Sherlock. Let's drink some coffee. Criminal activity is still increasing, particularly violent crime. Even rural crimes are becoming more deadly, as noted by one Iowan. Quote, "We are seeing everyday people just going about their business being killed. A cashier at a gas station was shot and killed yesterday in a robbery. This doesn't happen in my area until now. These are rural areas. This rising crime is, of course, being used as a reason to push more legislation that shackles the Second Amendment, though many say the causes are not firearms but economic distress, defunded and unsupported law enforcement, and rising social tensions." Amongst that, many that would say that would be moi, el oso independiente, me. I cannot advocate more strongly that for demonstration purposes only, Todd, at the algorithmic party, have one of these or something like it always, all the time, everywhere. Makes it a little bit more difficult for somebody to say, hey, give me all your stuff. Okay? So, highly recommended that you have one of those and that you train with it. And I know it's getting harder to train with things right now because there's no food for the anti-fear device that's strapped to your hip. I get it. That's why, anyway, I digress. But I also think there's a high level of desperation out there in the world right now, whether it's rural or suburban or urban or otherwise. Michael Martinez, good morning. Appreciate you. 1,051 concurrent viewers, only 495 thumbs ups. Please give this a thumbs up if you can. I would greatly appreciate it. I think the reason that one is seeing such a drastic rise in violent crime in rural areas is because, generally speaking, violent crime and crime in general in rural areas is pretty low. But everybody is feeling the squeeze now. So cities, in the city, in the country, crime is on the rise everywhere. Now, there's definitely an element of desperation. I live in a rural area. I've lived in rural areas a large portion of my life. And you usually have the dope fiends, the crack addicts, the meth heads, the people with half a pickup truck that barely runs that somehow figure out how to drive it to the Dollar General 3 times a week to buy the cheapest cigarettes they can find. Those people, right? Those people exist. Okay, cool. But I think those people, again, as the contraction of resources happens, everybody is going to start acting out. Whether this is the soccer mom living in the McMansion 3 doors up from you in your gated community that does not have food, cannot get food, but does have a .38 snub-nosed revolver and has decided today is the day that she is not going to watch her children starve to death any longer, or it's Billy Bob McJones who lives, 4 sections of land over that drives that beat-up Nissan who simply decided, you know what? I can't go another day without my fix. I'm going to go get me some. Desperate people do stupid things. And so regardless of where you live, you need to have a way to make sure that desperate people cannot, will not enact their will